A lot's happening in the half inning. Lake Erie put up 7 runs in the bottom of the third on 5 hits. First pitch, Hardy. He takes that for a called strike. Matt Mulhern remains on the mound for the Crushers. It's been 3 innings of work so far, 3 strikeouts and a walk. The lone run given up wasn't earned. 0-1, and Hardy fouls that one straight back and out of play. We went to the bottom of the third, and it was about 7:40 in Eastern time, and we ended the bottom of the third at about 8:25 Eastern time. So a lot happened, but overall Lake Erie has a commanding lead and a huge opportunity for a sweep. Hardy right up the middle off of Mulhern's glove. He quickly goes to the ball. The throw, the first, not in time. A hustle by Clint Hardy is able to beat out the throw. It was a good play by Matt Mulhern, and now Cam Roth and the trainers make their way out to him, and Mulhern signals that he is all right.
Well, after sitting in the dugout and trying to stay loose for that long half inning, that's a heck of a way to be welcomed back. But good hustle by Clint Hardy. This is what the Boomers do. I mean, they don't give up on plays, especially after a deflating 7-run inning. Hardy's still hustling down to first base.
So now it's Wyatt Stapp. Pitch ran in yesterday's loss, made his first at-bat with these Boomers in the second inning where he singled. And he fouls away that first pitch out of play for strike one.
Fans, make sure you're covered for accidents around your house. Call Chuck State Farm Insurance for all your insurance needs.
So Hardy stands at first, and you mentioned that Mulhern had a long time to sit on that bench. He was throwing pitches in the bullpen just to keep himself loose. And he's done a good job so far for Lake Erie. He's only allowed 4 hits, and that one's taken high and inside for ball 1. And the defense has kind of had their ups and downs. 2 errors so far in the early going, and still only 1 run. He was able to get out of that bases-loaded jam back in the second. And now that leadoff double in the first. So he's definitely had his work cut out for him. This 1-1. Down low in the zone. Misses the zone. So the count will turn 2-1 now. Stop. Designated hitter. Bull mentioned played for the Cincinnati Bearcats. Not too far from here. 2-1. Check swing. And he did not go. So now the count is 3-1. I think it's also important, Bull, to remember there's a lot of baseball left to be played even though you're up by 6.
Yeah, that's a great point. Plenty of opportunities for this Boomer offense to chip away.
3-1 count, nobody out. Hardy at first. Stop takes that pitch. It misses outside for ball 4. So a single and a walk for Stop in his first start with the Boomers. We'll put runners on second and first. Nobody out for Nick Odo.
And the way this Boomer offense really battles, I mean, they can eat you up. I mean, a 6-run deficit's a ton. There's no doubt about that. But if ever there were an offense in this league built to kind of climb back into a game like this would certainly be that team.
Odo, he laid a beautiful bunt down in the second inning, and it was a single for him. As you can see, Stewart at third is playing even with the bag. First pitch, taken inside for ball 1. Overall, the catcher, franchise leader in games played for the Schaumburg Boomers, but this year, it's been up and down for him. He has a .306 batting average with 3 home runs and 17 RBIs. 1-0. Odo chops that one to Thomas Rivera at second, throws it to second in time. No play will be made at first, so runners will be on the corner. 1 out.
It's a good play by Thomas Rivera at second. You want to try and get at least one of those 2 guys on base before thinking about Odo at first, because you know Hardy's probably going to get to third. If you can get that other runner at second base and not have to worry about Odo at first, that's the play you make, because now you still have that potential inning-ending double play possibility up the middle and a catcher running at first base, so it's not nearly as big of a threat.
Brett Milazzo, he's been a threat this series as he swing and misses at an off-speed pitch for strike one. He had a home run in yesterday's loss. It was a deep shot to right field. But overall, having himself a good year. Batting .278 with a .386 on-base percentage, 10 doubles, 2 triples, 2 home runs, and 31 RBIs. So that one misses low for ball one. So the count even at 1 with 1 out here in the 4th. Crushers, they lead 7-1. Boomers have 1 run on 4 hits and no errors. And Lake Erie, they have 7 runs on 5 hits and 2 errors. A 1-1. Milazzo, that one to Thomas Rivera. He'll flip that on to second. The throw to first, not in time. So that will drive in Hardy from third, but nevertheless, it's a second out of the inning.
It's the beauty of being up by 6 runs. You can certainly concede one in that situation, though they nearly turned 2 on the speedy Brett Milazzo. A pretty impressive turn up the middle there, because they nearly had an inning-ending double play.
So that'll be the first earned run Matt Mulhern gives up tonight, but it's still 7-2 Lake Erie. And now it's Alec Craig. Craig led off the first inning with a double, then he grounded out in the second. He also homered in yesterday's loss, and he swings at that first pitch, lifts it up near the foul ball line in left field, and it will trail out of play. Craig, small. He's 5'9" at 175 pounds, but his home run last night says otherwise. It was a no-doubt shot into the kid zone area at Mercy Hill Stadium. And this is also just another guy who's had himself a really good season. Batting .250, but a .433 on-base percentage. He comes in with 81 walks. The 0-1, and Craig will take that one low for ball one. Now on the other side of that, he has 25 stolen bases. He's only been caught stealing 8 times. Pitch from Mulhern. Craig will lift that one into left center. White is on the move, but it's going to be actually the left fielder Owings to make the grab for out number 3. Lake Erie still leads, but the Boomers put one on the board. It was the RBI fielder's choice by Brett Milazzo that cut the deficit to 5. We're going to head to the bottom half of the 4th. You're watching tonight's game on Flow Sports while listening on Meredith.
Thursday is Thirsty Thursday here at Mercy Health Stadium. Make sure to stop by and check out our craft beers for half off. Sponsored by Matt's Head Brewery. All right, fans, let's go down the left field line right now. Hey, Tom, with that green shirt on, it looks like you just won the Masters.
Well, it's not necessarily the Masters, but we're going to have the pressure chipping competition we have for the stands representing Mike. He's going to take his first shot. Nice. A little short. He's getting his range. Get through the next 2. All right, Mike is doing a nice job. He's lining it up nicely. There's no wind to speak of, but there is density in the air. Nice up and down. Up. Nice. Okay. He's getting there. He's a little closer to that one. Okay. Nice shot. Just to the marbles. All right, now for the coaches, we have Sam Purpose. He was defeated last night, but he's coming back tonight. I can feel it in my bones. Well, he likes it to run, chip and run. Oh, he's in the hole. It's over. It's in the hole. Oh, Sam Curtis is in the hole. All right, my man. Let's hear it for our two contestants.
Bottom half of the fourth, Tanner Shears remains on the mound for the Boomers. He'll have to go through the 9, 1, and 2 order of the Lake Erie Crushers. Najee Gaskins will lead things off. Connor Owings on deck. And Jackson Valera in the hole. Shears, he did not start this game. He came in for the original starter, Junpei Akanuma. We're not 100% sure what the problem was with Akanuma. As here's the first pitch from Shears. Gaskins shows bunt. It bounces off the plate for ball one, but it appeared he might have been dehydrated. They brought him out some water as he was down on one knee after he walked Austin White. And since then, Tanner Shears has been the pitcher in control. And we hope that everything is okay with Akanuma as well. Here's the 1-0. And Gaskins takes that outside for ball two. And going with the theme of baseball, it's been a pretty historic past 2 days, especially in the Major League Baseball system. So here is the 2-0 from Shears. And Gaskins will take that for a called strike. So today the St. Louis Cardinals played the Colorado Rockies. The Cardinals are the first team in MLB history to have a 40-year-old hit a grand slam, Albert Pujols, and another 40-year-old to throw at least 7 shutout innings, and Adam Wainwright, in the same game. Gaskins fouls that off, and the count will move to 2-2. Let's go to Cleveland. They made some history last night. The Guardians struck out 3 times to start off the 8th inning, but then they scored 6 runs after the third batter reached on a drop third strike. It's the first time since the expansion era, 1961, that the team scored 6 runs in an inning after its first 3 batters struck out. Gaskins hits that one high, and it will trail out of play and foul.
I hate that dreaded drop third strike rule, but it helped out the Guardians a ton last night.
Basically won them the game.
Yes.
As they are ahead in the AL Central race and of a pivotal 3-game stretch against the Chicago White Sox coming in Progressive Field starting tomorrow.
That should be a lot of fun.
It's 2-2, nobody out, and Gaskins will chop that one foul on the third base side and stays alive. It's 7-2 Lake Erie. Crushers scored all their runs here in that third inning, and for the Boomers, they have scored 1 in the third and 1 in the fourth. With a Crusher win tonight, they would sweep the Boomers. This is only the second time these two teams have met this year, but Lake Erie went 0 for 3 in that first stretch. 2-2. Gaskins stays alive and fouls it off. And these are 2 teams who will see each other once more, but in Schaumburg later in the year.
Yeah, that's a couple weeks away. So who knows, what the standings will look like at that point. Things are changing in a hurry as we speak.
2-2. Gaskins gets under that one. It's high in the air in left field. It's middle length. And that one will be caught on one knee by Barry for out number 1. And last time I did check, the Otters have taken the lead against Windy City, and Joliet and Gateway were still tied at 0. But I think what's also important to notice is, let's say this score remains the same in those other, Lake Erie still gains a game on Schaumburg, even though. And Schaumburg, if they were to lose and Evansville were to win, they both would be tied once more. So you can look at it like, well, they're not getting any help. They're helping themselves by beating the Boomers, a team that's in front of them. And we said, if you'd rather pass the Boomers or Otters, it'd be the Boomers because you at least play them. First pitch to the Owings is take for a called strike.
Yeah, you control your own destiny in that scenario.
But you can't sleep on Joliet, and they can really gain some ground this weekend. The 0-1 Owings. Owings will drive that one in center field. Milazzo on the move, just in front of the warning track. He will make the grab for out number 2.
And it's become a fun race to follow for us. We say it time and time again, things got so bad there back in June, we didn't think there was any way in the world we'd be discussing the playoffs at this point in the season, but a 7-2 lead and a chance to go a game over 500 for the first time since Memorial Day weekend when they swept the Empire State Grays. I think you take a look at all the changes that this roster has endured, the roller coaster ride that it's been. It's pretty amazing that they're in this position.
And as I say that, I refresh my page. It's 5-2 Windy City now in the bottom of the 5th. First pitch to Valera. That's taken for a called strike. So Evansville were to lose and Joliet were to win. Joliet's in the tie. But Lake Erie only 1.5 back, I believe. 0-1. And Valera will take that for a second straight called strike. The first baseman 0 for 2 with 2 flyouts in the first and the third. But overall, he's a guy who loves him some home cooking. He always has produced here at Mercy Health Stadium in 2022. He had 2 hits and 2 runs scored in last night's win. And Valera golf swings it, misses. And the ball is moved all over the place, but Valera didn't even make an attempt to run to first. So that's going to be strike 3, and that's going to end the 4th inning. It seemed like Valera had some differences with home plate umpire Mike O'Leary, but nevertheless, that's going to be the end of the 4th. The score will remain the same. It's 7-2 Lake Erie. We're going to head to the top of the 5th. You're watching tonight's game on Flow Sports while listening on Meridix.
Hey, fans, we've got some groups that we would like to welcome to the ballpark tonight. We have Aspire Investments Management in the house. Applied Specialists Incorporated are here. North Coast Eye Care, Nordson, Masthead Brewery, J.L. Smith Group, Scott Pemper and Mercy Health, Avon Dental Care, and a special happy birthday to Terry Sherman. And if you want your group to come out and see a game this season or next season, the 2023 season, talk to someone on our sales staff and they can make that happen.
Leading off the top of the 5th inning for the Schaumburg Boomers, the second baseman, Chase Dawson.
Matt Mulhern on the mound. He'll have to start off by facing Chase Dawson. First pitch, and Dawson takes that for a called strike. Dawson, he popped up in the first. He reached on an error in the third, and he scored on an error in the third. So wacky way for him in that, and Dawson screams that one to the left side of foul on the third base side. He's quickly down a count 0-2, and Chase Dawson having a season to remember. Yeah, he's batting .315. Yeah, he has 17 doubles, and yeah, his on-base percentage is .390, but set the Frontier League record in triples. And that one's high and outside for ball 1, so now to count 1-2, and he broke the record, so every triple he adds on to his total is the new record. He has 22 on the year so far. The team leader in doubles, hits, and triples. That 1-2. Dawson, the Thomas Rivera at second. Rivera, soft throw to Valera in time for out number 1. You talk about hitting the ball down the line and in the gaps a lot. Chase Dawson, he lives for those places.
Certainly does, and he's quick. I mean, he's got some gap-to-gap pop, no doubt about that. A shifty player and a guy that, despite being 0 for 3 against the Crushers tonight, has hit very well against them this season.
So now it's Mike Hart. Hart 0 for 2. Struck out in the first. He flew out in the third, and he'll take a first pitch ball from Matt Mulhern. Had a home run in game 1, though, in the 9th inning off Alexis Rivera. It was the first run in any home appearance Rivera has given up all year. And Hart with that 1-0 pops it up in the left field. There's a man right there, and his name is Connor Owings for out number 2. So 2 quick outs for the right-hander Mulhern, and comes in at around 77 pitches. And I think if you're Cam Roth, you would like for him to at least get through to 6th inning.
Yeah, and look, this is a tough game for a guy like Mulhern, too. And he hasn't pitched in 6 days. Prior to that, he hadn't pitched in 12 days. Not to mention that very long half inning he had to sit through.
So that first pitch, the Barry, is called a strike. Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, sometimes just sitting there can really ruin it because you're such in a rhythm, you're in your own pace, and then you don't forget it, but you just lose that feeling. That 0-1 by Barry, lifted in the left center, and it's dropped. Austin White almost made the grab. Owings on the backup. He will field the baseball, and Barry will advance to second. It was a great effort by Austin White, just couldn't make the grab. And with 2 outs, there's a runner in scoring position.
It's a double for Blake Berry and almost a sensational catch made by Austin White in center field. Berry's able to get to second because that hit just enough of Austin White's glove to push that toward the line in left field. Connor Owings had kind of moved in behind him, anticipating that he might have to make a play on that ball if it got by White. But instead, when he grazed the edge of that ball with his glove, it shot directly to our left, allowing enough time for Berry to get to second.
So now it's Braxton Davidson. Davidson 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. He comes in with a runner in scoring position. First pitch, Davidson takes that one low for ball 1. Davidson was a guy Lake Erie didn't see the last time these two teams faced. He was out with an injury. And that was really the last time Matt Botcher played. He played in that game 1, but then left with an injury. And he really hasn't played since. And Davidson, fooled by that off-speed pitch, nicely thrown by Mulhern. The count will turn 1-1 now. It just feels like such a long time ago when that game occurred.
It does. I mean, it was 6-ish weeks ago, 6-7 weeks back.
Yeah.
But you're right. Sometimes it feels like that was an eternity.
So 1-1. Davidson holds back on that one. The count will move to 2-1 now on the left-hander. First round pick, 32nd overall out of T.C. Robertson High School in 2014. He hit 47 homers over his 4 years with full season affiliates, including 20 in 2018 for the Florida team. (2-1) Barry at second. Mulhern steps off the mound to readjust himself. (2-1) Davidson misses that high heat, so now it's 2-2 for Mulhern, the righty, trying to get out of this one without a run. He's given up 2 runs so far, only 1 earned. Lake Erie, they lead 7-2. And 2s are across the board here in the top of the 5th. The 2-strike pitch. Davidson, screamer. That's going to be foul on the first base side. And we'll redo things here with the same count, same amount of outs. And Barry, he stands at second. He reached on a 2-out double where Austin White almost made a fantastic grab, just couldn't get to it. Mulhern, a long wait. He gets his sign from De La Rosa. The 2-2. That one's low and inside. A good take by Davidson. So now the count is full. You have Clint Hardy, who's reached twice already, on deck. Infield playing in normal depth. Got Thomas Rivera, and you can say now on the outfield turf, but playing back a little bit on the lefty. 3-2. That one misses for ball 4. A good at-bat right there by Braxton Davidson. And now 2 runners are on with 2 outs.
I mean, on the surface, it's not a terrible outcome because we always talk about how dangerous Davidson is. First base was open, so you use that in this situation. But, again, It's not like there's a soft spot behind Davidson, because now you've got to deal with Clint Hardy, who's reached twice already.
And if I'm correct, that's 38 games in a row where Braxton Davidson has reached on base. Clint Hardy drew a walk and was stranded at third in the second. He swings at the first pitch right to Keenan Azari at short, who flips it on to Thomas Rivera at second in time for out number 3. 2 runners got on, but Matt Mulhern did not care. He gets out of the jam by throwing himself a scoreless 5th. We'll head to the bottom half. You're watching tonight's game on Flow Sports while listening on Meridix.
Fans and States of Crocker Park is in the ballpark tonight. Raiders have been producing small batch French pot ice cream that fans love since 1870. Make sure to stop by Stopper's Grill or any eatery and grab your favorite flavor. Or stop by their ice cream shop in Crocker Park. Nothing beats Raiders ice cream on a hot summer day. Hey fans, with temperatures cooling down, you can stay warm and rep your favorite Frontier League team. Check out the fan ad for Crusher's hoodies, long sleeve tees, and crew necks. Fans, if you're looking to hit a home run when it comes to your health, remember, Mercy Health can help you stay in the game by staying healthy. And don't forget they've been part of the Lorain County community for 125 years.
It's 7-2 Lake Erie in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Jack Thiel alongside Andy Bull Barch. Keenan Azari will lead things off for Lake Erie. And man, what a series number 22 is having. Including tonight's game, 4 hits and 5 RBIs. He had himself a 2 RBI single back in that 7-run 3rd inning. This is a guy who's quietly building himself an impressive resume in 2022. First pitch, and Irizarry swings and misses.
But he stepped up big time in a big series. It's 3 run-scoring hits in this series, and they've all come at huge spots.
What's been a large roster turnover, and Irizarry to the third baseman in Hart. The long throw, a cannon on Mr. Hart for out number 1. Nicely sound smack of the glove, and that was no cheap throw either. He got all of that one. For Keenan Irizarry, with all this roster turnover, and you can say it's about Valera and Connor Owings and Coco Figueiredo, with all this roster turnover, all these new faces in the clubhouse, these guys have been such a constant piece to the lineup, and they have produced in and out, and that's something that's not easy to do.
Not at all, and they've survived since day one.
Kemwell, he takes that first pitch low for ball 1.
Have to imagine that moments like this are even sweeter for guys like that who were with this team when times were kind of tough.
Yeah. They've been here since the start of 2022. And Thomas Rivera swings and misses at the fastball. The count will turn 1-1. Thomas Rivera, another guy who's having himself a good series. He's got 2 home runs and 2 RBIs. Tonight he's got himself a single in the 3rd, where he later scored. And that 1-1, an excuse me swing. He went too far. Home plate umpire Michael Erie does not need an appeal. He says that he did go too far. Now the count is 1-2. 2-strike pitch, and Thomas Rivera will take that outside for ball 2. And I mean, Thomas Rivera, it seems like he's been here for a long time. I mean, out through the lineup, besides those guys we just mentioned, him and Austin White are probably the next two in terms of guys who have really been just in the lineup day in and day out. And Thomas Rivera chops that 1-2 to shortstop in Craig. The hard throw to first baseman Davidson is in time for out number 2.
To your point, Kenwell Thomas Rivera made his Crusher debut in the first Boomer series.
Yeah.
So he has been here a while.
And he's just one of those guys who has helped Cam Roth get this team where he wants to. And now it's Austin White at the plate. Interesting story about him, and Tom Myros is the person, the source, the man who gave us this information. He writes his mom's initials on the turf right before he steps in at the plate. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is because he brought it to us, but also I actually paid attention because I was curious if that was the case, and it is. First pitch to White. That's outside for ball 1. So for our viewers, if you ever see Austin White do that in the turf, that's the reasoning. And for our listeners, that's what Austin White does when he steps up to the plate. And we also found out that White's mom will be in attendance for next weekend series as he takes an off-speed pitch for a called strike. And probably a surreal moment for him because this is a guy who just graduated from Coastal Carolina in 2022 and his first professional baseball stint. 1-1. And White right to the first baseman Davidson. He picks it nicely and runs the tag to first base for out number 3. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Tanner Shears on the mound. That's 6 in a row he has set down. We'll head to the top of the 6. You're watching tonight's game on Flow Sports while listening on Meridix.
Okay, Berkshire fans, it's the bottom of the 5th inning, going into the top of the 6th. We've had a lot of action on home plate, and normally the umpires will take care of all the maintenance around home plate. But here at Mercy Health Stadium, we have the Tooth Fairy going on to brush off home plate with a giant toothbrush. Tonight, our Tooth Fairy is Reagan, age 8. She's going to brush off home plate. This is sponsored by Team Leatherman Dentistries. So let's hear it for Reagan. Give her a big round of applause. Brush off, good for it, kids. We need some more runs. Nicely done.
Matt Mulhern returns to the mound for the top of the 6th. His Crushers lead 7-2, and he'll have to go through the 7, 8, and 9 hitters of the Schaumburg Boomers. Jack Thiel alongside Andy Bull-Barch. This is the series finale of 3. Lake Erie a chance to sweep Schaumburg and get their sweep revenge on what Schaumburg did last time they were here in Avon, Ohio. So Wyatt Stapp, or I should say Stapp, singled in his first at-bat with the Boomers, recently acquired by Schaumburg he was, and he swings and fouls off the first pitch, deflected off Brian De La Rosa's helmet, which is a mask, and that's going to be strike 1. And then he drew a walk in the 4th, and it was out on a fielder's choice. As Mulhern works on the mound, we do have activity. It is a right-hander, and you assume that it has to be possibly Trevor Kunkel, a guy who hasn't appeared yet this series.
Yeah, a guy that's looking for some action for sure. Having said that, Lake Erie would love to get a 6th inning out of Matt Mulhern. so they don't have to go too deep into that bullpen and maybe preserve some arms for that Joliet series.
0-1. Stapp chucked this swing, and it's said again. So the count will go 0-2, and yeah, because you have Curtis and Rivero back-to-back nights where they've pitched. Nathan Holt has pitched on back-to-back nights as well. So you have 3 guys in your bullpen who have pitched in the first 2 games who you want to use if you have to, but you're really hoping you don't. And Stapp swings and misses to that one. Nicely done by Mulhern to start it off here in the 6th.
I've got him at 90 pitches, and I think Cam would love to give him the opportunity to get through the bottom of the order and finish up a strong night against a really good club in Schaumburg. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if a runner does get on here, if he get the chance to face Alec Craig for a 4th time.
We've seen Mulhern last in plenty of games. You go back to that Joliet game where he took a no-hitter into the 7th inning, and Odu swings and misses of that first pitch for strike 1 in his last performance, 7 1/3 against the Yalls. So he's definitely a guy who has shown he can pitch into that 100 mark. He also seems like a guy that gets better as the game goes on. Gets more confident, just more cool, calm, and collective, and just throws his best stuff. 0-1. Odo fouls off that pitch, so now to count 0-2 on the catcher. Placed a bunt and reached on it in the 2nd inning, and then in the 4th, he reached on a fielder's choice. And we were mentioning it in the first game. It's not every day you see a catcher be your franchise leader in games played, and for Nick Odo, he is that man. 0-2. Outside for ball 1. Do you know any catchers by any chance that lead their, and any professional affiliate that lead their franchise in games played?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, active leaders. Boy, I mean, Yadi Molina kind of comes to mind, right?
He never is going to stop. And a swing and a miss. 2 is better than 1 for Matt Mulhern. And that's 2 in a row here in the 6th for strikeout number 5. I mean, Yadier Molina, it seems like he's never going away. It seems like Albert Pujols is never going away. And it seems like Adam Wainwright is never going away. Those guys, they like the fountain of youth, and I'd like to know where that is.
Spread the wealth a little bit, right?
I mean, we mentioned that stat line today. 40-year-old grand slam and a 40-year-old pitching 7 scoreless innings. And that first pitch to Brett Milazzo, it's outside for ball 1. Milazzo popped up in the 2nd, and he had a RBI in the 4th. That was a fielder's choice. And Milazzo takes ball 2 high and outside. It was also cool to see Albert Pujols in the home run derby. You know, a guy who the league loves and celebrates, and easily his number will be retired, you know, within the St. Louis Cardinals organization. So just a fan favorite, and he's going. I don't know if he's said he's done. And Milazzo takes that for a called strike down low in the zone. I know Miguel Cabrera said he's still thinking about playing next year.
It's just so hard to believe that he'd continue to do that. He's really kind of a singles hitter at this point in his career and not much more.
2-1. And Milazzo takes that off-speed pitch inside the zone. 2s across the board. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Crushers, they lead 7-2 here in the top half of the 6th. That's kind of what David Ortiz was at the end of his career with Boston, especially in Fenway. The 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Oh, Matt Mulhern, he might put a cherry on top his performance by striking out the side here in the 6th inning. We'll head to the bottom half. Lake Erie, they lead 7-2. You're watching tonight's game on Flow Sports while listening on Meredix.
Hey fans, don't forget to purchase your launch ball. Fan services. Compete for your chance to win future home box vouchers. A concourse box for a suite for a future game. Launch ball is $1 for 1 ball or 6 balls for $5. Big Van's Fire has everything you need to keep your family well fed, well dressed, and well taken care of all season long. Visit your Avon or Lorraine Meyer store for the most brands, best prices, and best service in Lorraine County. Meyer is a proud partner of the Lake Erie Crushers. And Crushers full season ticket plan holders. You have not yet picked up your season ticket holder gift. Please visit the fan services table at today's game. Again, full season ticket plan holder. Please visit fan services at your convenience during tonight's game and pick up your season ticket holder gift for the 2022 season.
Tanner Shears remains on the mound for the Schaumburg Boomers. It'll be DJ Stewart set to lead things off for the Lake Erie Crushers. Stewart, he's played all 3 games in the Schaumburg series. He was acquired the day of the series opener on Tuesday. He was a designated hitter for both games, but making his start at third base tonight. The first pitch is swung, is hit deep in center. Milazzo on the move, just in front of the warning track. He will make the grab easily for out number 1.
What a job done to this point by Tanner Shears. You had talked about the difficulty of the situation that he inherited. Didn't really have a chance to warm up in the traditional sense. He was just kind of thrown into the game after the injury to Akaduma. And he's just done a masterful job of eating up some innings.
He sets that down 7 in a row. He has now thrown 3 innings, only allowed 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 1 strikeout. About 45 pitches. So Coco Figueiredo, he takes the first pitch ball down low. For Figueiredo, he did not play the first 2 games of the series, but he's made some impact here in Game 3. He got hit by a pitch in the 3rd inning and later scored. And then later in that inning, he had a 2 RBI single. And that 1-0 inside in the zone for a called strike 1. And Figueiredo, he's a guy who has not seen the field in a while in terms of playing defense. The last couple of weeks when he has played, he's been a designated hitter. The 1-1. That's taken for a called strike 2 by Mike O'Leary. It's not a count 1-2 with 1 out on Coco Figueiredo, and Tanner Shears, like you mentioned, Bull, is just throwing himself a good game, and it is not easy for him to just sit on the bench and be called out to the mound. That 1-2, a hit check, and Figueiredo does a good job in holding his bat back for ball 2. It's not easy because you go through a whole regimen, even if you're out of the bullpen and maybe you will pitch, but for Shears, he had no idea. I mean, it was the 3rd inning. And Figueiredo takes that outside for ball 3. If you're Shears, if you want to play probability, what are the odds your name's going to be called in the 3rd inning of a baseball game?
Yeah, and here he is retiring 8 straight batters.
The 3-2. Coco lines that right to second baseman Dawson, and he throws that to Davidson in time for out number 2. And now make that 9 in a row set down by Shears.
Well, and he's a guy that came in with good numbers. Very, very good numbers. So it was a little surprising to see Jamie call on him just because that's not usually a spot where you call on a guy in a game where you're down by 6 runs, numbers as good as his. But he's delivered, and it's hard to sit here and say he's kept them in the game because when he came into the game, they were down by 6 runs. But you know, he's done a nice job of quieting an offense that just exploded before he came in.
You mentioned those Shears number. He came into tonight's game with a 1.42 ERA in 16 appearances. And De La Rosa has to spin his way out of that one for ball one, and he's holding hitters to a 200 batting average. You don't call this a start, but I mean the amount of pitches he's throwing, he's nearing that kind of area. And De La Rosa spins out of the way once more for ball two. 2 pitches, and De La Rosa has done a little bit of the twirl. It's 7-2 Lake Erie. Both teams with 5 hits. 2-0, and De La Rosa takes that outside for ball 3. Lake Erie, all their runs came in the 3rd inning. It was a very long and interesting 3rd inning. It was where starter Junpei Akanuma had to leave the game. 3-0, and De La Rosa fouls that one off behind him and out of play to count as 3-1, and that's when Tanner Shears came in the game, when that incident occurred. And it was just a long 3rd inning where Lake Erie strung a lot of good hits. You know, De La Rosa, who's the batter, had his 2nd home run of the season, his first year in Avon, Ohio. It was a 2-run shot. And Owings had a single. Keen Irizarry had a single with 2 RBIs, and it just kept adding on. And De La Rosa takes a 3-1 outside for ball 4. So the catcher now works a walk and allows Najee Gaskins here with 1 man on and 2 outs.
Even the at-bats seem like they've been better for De La Rosa. I don't know what it was exactly in that series in Gateway that turned things around for him offensively, but he just looks like a much more confident hitter at the plate.
It could be that Gateway series. I mean, when you have a couple big hits and you have all the confidence in the world. First pitch to Gaskins, outside for ball 1, because going through the mind of De La Rosa, and I'm no expert, but as someone who played baseball, if I were going through a little slump, which he was, I mean, you would just be frustrated by any result that happened at the plate that wasn't a hit, a home run, or a productive out. Gaskins chops at that 1-0. It's going to drop in front of center fielder Malazzo for a 2-out single. Inside the hands, Gaskins powered it through, and 2 men out, 2 men on now for Connor Owings. Going back to the story, when you're in that slump, you can easily just be frustrated, your head's down, you know, you kind of have that don't care attitude. When you have that one hit that really just uplifts the team, uplifts the players around you, it can totally turn around your, you can say, season. It's the same case with basketball. You know, just a layup, just seeing the ball go in the hoop can help you throughout the game, throughout the season, or throughout whatever stretch it is. And for De La Rosa, that might have been the case with that Gateway series. He had 2 clutch hits. That first pitch to Owings is called a strike. For Connor Owings, struck out in the 1st. He had a single and scored in the 3rd, and then he flew out in the 4th. But he has a chance here with 2 runners on and 2 outs. A bit of a shift. You have the shortstop Craig playing near the second base bag. He is in the shallow outfield turf. And Owings turns away from that 0-1 pitch. It'll be 1-1.
You're right on that point about De La Rosa. Sometimes you just have to prove to yourself that you can still do it.
I also think for De La Rosa, he's always been that guy and probably told he's not the best hitter. He's amazing at defense, but hitting he needs to improve on. And he might see that tunnel where he can improve on a hitter. Owings 1-1, fouled straight back. So the count will go to 1-2. That's always a tough thing for De La Rosa, a guy who played in the affiliated ball. And, look, we know he's got probably the best defensive skills as a catcher in the Frontier League. But in his head, he knows once he improves offensively, he can probably get back to that level. And the way he started the season offensively, he knew that's not what he needed to do to get back there. And what he's doing now are the right steps. Owings 1-2, taken away and low for ball 2 on the left fielder. A guy whose hitting streak was broken last night, but hoping to start a new one tonight. Seems like the Boomers bullpen, a little bit more activity than usual. There is a bullpen catcher, and a couple guys are stretching. And as we say that, there is now a Boomer throwing in the bullpen. Owings 2-2, fouled back and out of play. So he'll stay alive in this at-bat. And you got to assume Tanner Shears is kind of at the end of the day a bullpen guy, and he's nearing a lot of pitches.
I mean, I've got him down for almost 60, but I mean, 3 2/3, that's a lot to ask out of a guy to come out of the bullpen. He's done a really nice job tonight.
Owings takes his time at the plate. Shears. He gets his sign from his catcher. Runners on second and first. Owings will chop that one to the first baseman, Davidson. He makes the running grab and tags first base for out number 3. Crushers get 2 runners on, but Tanner Shears works himself out of it